Hogwarts Legacy is finally here. Game makers Avalanche and Portkey have now proven they can deliver on the ambitious promises they made for an open Wizarding World game. So where do they go from here? Based on some things that have been said by others and what I've seen in the game, here are the top 5 DLC topics that make the most sense by player demand. Let me know in the comments what you'd most like to see in future updates and DLCs. At number 5, a House Cup system. Right now, all that exists are a few snippets of dialogue where teachers say things like, "points to Gryffindor," or whatever. So although this is a sought-after part of the game, odds are on the low end that we'll actually see too much added here. But it is possible. Do you remember those hourglasses that held house points in Harry Potter games of old? In a game like Hogwarts Legacy, tracking house points would be an excellent way to vary replayability by locking certain side quests behind the house point system. Additionally, your personal reputation as a helpful point gainer or a rule breaker could change which characters choose to help you, or change what or how much of something you get from them. Since some of us could deliberately choose the path of the bad kid, it's also another boost to replayability to see what kind of challenges would come from having to play as a more ostracized character. At number 4, an expanded relationship system. No, I'm not talking about turning this into The Sims 4 Hogwarts Edition, and Avalanche will want to keep its T for teen rating, so we likely won't have an outbreak of magical love pox in the dormitories a la Crusader Kings, but imagine a large number of NPCs that had independent opinions of you, which could be influenced by your actions, inactions, and the opinions of the other characters. We could choose to make different friends, accidentally create rivals by brushing off the wrong character a few too many times.
You haven't ignored the last of me.
Even make an enemy or two that will actively try to get us in trouble or stand against our progress in certain quests.
I'll fight you!
Neville, I'm really sorry about this. Petrificus Totalis.
Even an optional romance side quest system could get very interesting. This could lead to plenty of new storylines, ways to anger characters who feel jilted or in competition with us, and could provide us with lots of unlockable gear. This would make an excellent pairing with the house point system, as it would help to influence people's opinions of us and give us more people to choose to work with on side quests seeking things like house points. At number 3, the most requested probably is Quidditch. Based on snippets of dialogue here or there, it's hard to tell if we're being teased for a possible return of Quidditch in this game or not. I'm leaning towards no, but hoping for yes. However, because it requires a lot of unique mechanics and a more detailed flight system, if it comes to this game, the best way to implement it would probably be in a standalone expansion. Additionally, this could allow people who can't afford the base game and an expansion to buy just the Quidditch part and still be able to play the sport with their friends. People who want to play a Quidditch skirmish could load up the game separately and get right to it like the old Quidditch World Cup game. However, if your character joins the team in Hogwarts Legacy, beginning a Quidditch practice or a game could save the game and open a new window for an exported Quidditch match, like how the grand strategy game Field of Glory Empires exports battles that are loaded into Field of Glory, the turn-based tactical combat game. What would make this expansion even better is if it had a multiplayer component. Imagine being able to play either 1v1, one team versus another, against a human player, or as a human player playing a single position on a Quidditch team that is partially or fully manned by other humans. Avalanche better strike fast though, before a competitor takes over. It would be a real shame to see somebody like EA Sports gobble up the exclusive rights to Quidditch and keep it out of Hogwarts Legacy for good. At number 2, a multiplayer dueling system. 1v1, 2v2, or squad on squad, dueling would make an excellent multiplayer expansion DLC. Again, this could also be its own standalone product for the same reason as Quidditch. This has even been requested by some reviewers months ago in videos I've seen. If I were running Avalanche, I would have had a small team working on something like this since the alpha build. Why? Well, it's a quick way to infuse cash into the game. You're reusing the same mechanics the game already has, with the same assets the game already has, and over time, new maps could be added mostly by taking existing locations and closing them off to the proper size for dueling combat, and adding a few things that can be used as blocking or shields or weapons out in the field. Since this is a big moneymaker with relatively little investment that can pay the development of harder features to implement like Quidditch, it makes perfect sense for this to be one of the first, if not the first things that gets released, and I sure hope that if Avalanche isn't working on this already, they quickly come to their senses, because they could make a lot of money off of this that would fund further development for this game. Not to mention, it would be pretty darn fun. At number 1, The probably second most requested thing I've heard is a co-op campaign of some kind. The Division 2 does this extraordinarily well by allowing players to have their open world and multiplayer functionality at the same time, and you can call people in right in the middle of your game seamlessly. Even if we couldn't explore the open world of Hogwarts Legacy with a friend, it would still be a blast to be able to load up a specific quest or minigame, assuming, more minigames actually eventually get added someday, and invite that friend or random player to join us on those quests. You've got to think Avalanche has thought about doing this, and I get why they didn't want to try and quickly force multiplayer into the single-player game experience and wind up creating a half-assed version of both. But now that the main game is out and they've proved they're capable of delivering, maybe it's time for them to start rethinking this, especially if some of the earlier advice on Dueling and Quidditch pan out. Odds are, though, this is a feature we won't see until, well, let's save that for the last item on our list. Finally, what we are most likely to get unless Warner Bros. Breaks from its previous patterns is not a DLC at all, it's a sequel. This isn't Paradox Interactive we're dealing with, or Electronic Arts even. We're dealing with Warner Bros., and aside from Dying Light 2 and Hitman 2, most Warner Bros. Games, not counting the mobile games, have been more about releasing sequels than DLCs. Partly, that could be a holdover from their older business model, and they are in a bit of a business shakeup right now, so Hogwarts Legacy is likely to get at least some DLC. Either way, the runaway success the game has had with pre-orders and launch reviews makes it abundantly clear that there will indeed be a sequel at some point that reuses many of the locations and assets to save on development time. Odds are, in a sequel like that, they would try to pull off some of the things that were left out of this game. Minigames, locations like the Chamber of Secrets, Quidditch, all of these may finally see the light of day in a sequel. The often requested start as a first year or play as a co-op mode would also likely come from a sequel rather than a DLC. However it shakes out, hopefully us Potterheads won't have to wait too long to get our next fix. Click on that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to comment below on your most desired feature.